Today's Neville Goddard conversation is based on this quote from his book, The Power of Awareness. He says, "However much you seem to be living in a material world, you are actually living in a world of imagination. The outer, physical events of life are the fruit of forgotten blossom times, results of previous and usually forgotten states of consciousness. They are the ends running true to oft-times forgotten imaginative origins." So experience, it's the best teacher in my opinion. Personal experience is true and accurate. It doesn't lie and it can't be faked. And every moment of every single day, we have the opportunity to practice what he said here, to prove as experiences for ourselves. And that's if we would like to choose, if we would like to practice our freedom of choice. You see, this world is a screen of space forever playing out what you imagine. And since you have your preference in the matter, you can imagine how it is. The unseen power takes what you imagine and externalizes it for you. You don't have to do anything. The unseen does it for you. So your essence is formless awareness, which means you are beyond anything you have believed to be true about yourself, others, and the world. And what you once believed to be true may or may not be helpful to how you want to live now. And that's up to you personally to decide. Now, since you, as formless awareness, transcend these beliefs, you can choose whatever you want to believe. I have found and changed many beliefs in my life to create whatever effects I desire. That's how the power works. This is because whatever we believe to be true plays out automatically, done for us by the unseen. As stated in the Bible, "As you believe, so it shall be done unto you." You have all the power to select the kind of life you want to live, the kind of relationships you want to have. And there's no need to shame or condemn ourselves if we consider personally the current circumstances as undesirable. We can change it all with imagination. Now, the moment we acknowledge ourselves as formless awareness, which nothing to do there, simple acknowledgement of you being alive, that's formless awareness. In this moment, you realize you are beyond beliefs and you have all the power, as stated in the Bible. I, awareness, and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. The Father is the unseen power. Thus the title of the book, The Power of Awareness, as in you have all the power. Now, as formless awareness, you actually have no shape, form, nor figure, but you can, via imagination, the creative companion, given by grace to humanity, shape form and figure of yourself and world via the unseen power, as he says here. And so we start with I. Many are unaware of the self that they really cherish. They have never taken a good look at the self, for the I has neither face, form, nor figure, but it does mold itself into structure by all that it consents to, all that it believes. Again, to emphasize, but it does mold itself, as in you mold yourself, into structure by all that it consents to, as in all that you consent to, all that it believes, as in all that you believe. And so people know what they believe, which causes their body to move automatically, or perhaps they don't. That's up to each person to discover or deny. I suggest discover by tracking effect to cause within. As he says, there could be unnumbered beliefs that go to mold this inner formless I into a form which is then projected as our environment, as our conditions of life. So this I, which is referring to, is known as the true self, or in Buddhism, it is referred to as the no self, or formless self in Vedic traditions. Neville states, and now, how do we go about changing the I? First of all, we must discover the I, and we do this by uncritical observation of self. By an uncritical observation, you make the discovery of that self. So by uncritical observation, as in beyond beliefs, you discover the self, I, which transcends beliefs. So you are not the beliefs. You may have identified with helpful or unhelpful beliefs. However, you are beyond them. He says, your description of the world is a confession of the self that you do not know. So, in other words, anytime we say anything about ourselves, about others, about the world, how we believe reality to work, we are describing how we believe reality to work. Remember, you are formless awareness, and you give form to reality by what you believe. As he says, you describe another, you describe society, you describe anything, and your description of the thing you observe reveals to one who knows this law the being you really are. So you must first accept that self. When that self is accepted, then you can start the change. And so how do you accept that self being referred to? Mere acknowledgement. You are alive, beyond belief. That's it. You have accepted yourself. So we're taught to accept that the cause is within, without shame or condemnation, for self is formless. And from this perspective, which I refer to as the position of the observer, we're able to take an inventory of the attributes we have associated with this self. These are the beliefs of ourselves, others, the world, etc. And none of them are fixed because you are beyond those beliefs. You are formless awareness, which is infinite potential power, as in you potentially can believe anything, and what you believe happens. So in summary, as he says here, I start with the self, and start with changing of that self. And by the way, these quotes I'm referring to here are from his lecture, Changing the Feeling of I. He says, so the changing of the feeling of I is a selective thing, because unnumbered states are infinite states, but the I is not the state. The I believes itself to be the state when it enters and fuses with it. So there are infinite states, and a state is a body of belief, and thus, because there are infinite states, there are infinite combinations and permutations of beliefs that make up infinity different states. And now this formless awareness has been given choice, as in you have a choice. You can choose how you want to live. Infinite states exist already, done for you by the unseen, which we are taught is beyond comprehension. And although we may comprehend some things, the complete ways of the unseen is beyond comprehension, as it is infinite beyond theory and conjecture of what infinite means. As stated in the Bible, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. You choose what to imagine, and the unseen does it for you, as stated in Romans 12:2. When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And so what should you pray for, or we could say speak inside with intention? Well, again, you already know, as I bring up this quote from Neville, the spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. So you know what you want, and it's done for you by the unseen, in ways that could be beyond comprehension, as the ways of how imagination creates reality is a lot of times past figuring out by this human brain. Neville states, the keys are desire, imagination, and a steady, focused attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To such a person, any undesirable objective fact is no longer a reality and the ardent wish no longer a dream. Now, I mentioned this many times throughout my videos. I've lived another way before, one that I would not consider desirable, where I would look around seeking approval and validation from others as to what to imagine, which means how to live rather than going within and discovering via intuition how I truly desire to live. And over the years of putting off that former way of being a puppet, I listened to my heart and intuition exclusively. And that wouldn't be an unwise thing for you to do as well, because that's what you want. This is how I created the business that I love, the life that I love, and continue to do so as I find there are infinite desires to accept as already fulfilled and already done for us. And so we simply imagine. That's what we do. We imagine. That's the way it is, and go on with our lives, and it's done for us. So any resistance, doubt, confusion is caused by inharmonious beliefs, and you don't need to identify with them any longer by assuming that you already are how you desire to be. And so Neville, bless his soul, made it even easier to accept desires as already fulfilled by the following. He says, least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the desired state, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So, to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. So that's it. You assume that's the way it is. And if you have a challenge accepting the suggestion, that's fine. Record it as an autosuggestion and play it to yourself in loop and fall asleep to it. That's a state akin to sleep, as Neville mentions. And that's what I've been doing for almost 2 decades since I've discovered it in Think and Grow Rich, and it has never been known to fail. And so you're assuming that's the way I am. Whatever you say I am too, like I am a person who is appreciated wherever I go, and you accept your own suggestion, and then it's done for you by the unseen. This is prayer. You don't beg. It's I am how I desire to be. The prayer is heard and fulfilled for you. In a state akin to sleep, theta brainwave, the subconscious is open for suggestion, and thus no unnecessary internal mental chatter or arguing occurs. This is why we teach children to pray before sleep. As he says here, the assumption is everything. Realization is subconscious and effortless. He summarizes it as the following. He says, the application of these 3 points. Number 1 is desire. So you already know what you desire. Number 2, physical immobility, which is state akin to sleep. And number 3, the assumption of the wish already fulfilled. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You can say, every day when I wake up, I realize I have already accepted all that I desire to be as I observe it playing out in all areas of my life, ideally, which is how I truly am, the ideal that I always desire to be, all done for me by the unseen power within me. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.